Yeah, hi, welcome to a simple video where I explain why it is essential for us to make sure we eat foods that are either kosher or halal. Alright, so we must look for the kosher sign, which is the U, or the here we have the U for kosher. You look for these on your food items. In countries that don't use this code, you make sure you look for the code that symbolizes this. Or you look for the food that has the H or halal symbol on it. So we must, for everybody, this is not for Muslims, Christians, Jews, or whoever. Everybody must look for these symbols, and I'm going to be explaining why. Now, what do these symbols connote? For the U, the kosher, are foods that essentially do not have certain elements of certain elements that are impure to us, which include the swine, which medically has been proven to be the worst form of cholesterol, and causes worms in the brain and all kinds of other stuff. But I'm not actually going into that aspect of it. When you look for the U, it's on beef. This lecture is particularly on beef, and I'm going to be explaining what this symbolizes. Now, the U, the Jewish method of slaughtering beef, it means the animal has been slaughtered by the neck in a most harmless way. That's basically what the U symbolizes, that they slaughtered it very quickly with a very sharp knife, and the animal felt the least bit of pain. Now, the difference, the halal is significantly different. The halal is the Muslim version. Also, the animal has been slaughtered in that most perfect, painless manner, but the addition is that God's name, the merciful God, has been called upon it. So that's basically what differentiates the kosher from halal. If you can get halal, that's better, but if you get kosher, good enough. And let me explain why we must eat slaughtered beef. Now, firstly, to explain to Christians who may be watching this video why they also are bound by this obligation religiously, this is understandingchrist.org website, and we can see right here that it's actually in the New Testament of the Bible, Acts 15 verse 27. We have sent therefore Judas and Silas to blah blah blah, and they are wondering what should be maintained of the laws and what should not be. And it seemed good to the Holy Ghost to us to lay upon you no greater burden than these necessary things, that ye abstain from meats offered to idols, and from blood, and from things strangled. Alright, so here we have in the New Testament where this is being reinforced, that you should abstain from things strangled. Now, the idea is when you slaughter beef or any kind of animal, when you slaughter, the blood is let. All the blood is let out of it. When you slaughter it as painlessly as possible, as quickly as possible, straight to the neck, all the blood gushes out, and you're not consuming blood, and you're not consuming stuff that's like strangled, because strangled, the blood stays in it, and you are consuming a lot of blood. So here we see Acts 15 verse 27 reinforces this principle and this doctrine on Christians. Alright, so let's move on to why we need to maintain this law. You see, as a scientist, we always look for try to analyze things from a scientific point of view. So here we are still looking at the understandingchrist.org website, and this is naturalnews.com. Basically, what happened was the FDA has imposed certain conditions on slaughterhouses for this particular reason, because when you slaughter beef, it's better for the quality of the meat. Because when you hit animals, knock them on the head and stuff like that, it has an effect not only on the animal slaughtered, but you raise anger, and adrenal hormones are secreted in them, apprehensive fear hormones. So they have all this adrenaline rushing in their blood when you treat them bad or you don't slaughter them quickly. So you have two things. One, you have elevated hormones, apprehensive hormones, the catecholamines, adrenergic hormones. So you have those raised in their blood, and two, once you don't slaughter them, the blood stays in them, so you have that blood laden with all these fear and apprehensive hormones in the animal. Now, the third effect is in slaughterhouses. You can see all this on understandingchrist.org website from naturalnews.com and other links. In the slaughterhouse, the third impact is animals that have been put in this frightful situation actually leave pheromones behind. So the minute you bring in a new animal into that slaughterhouse, the new animal gets influenced because of this pheromone transmission. And United States Secret Service has been doing studies on using pheromones and stuff at airports to detect, you know, people, potential terrorists, because these pheromones are part of the methods with which we communicate. So they leave pheromones behind in the slaughterhouse, and then a new animal coming right in immediately senses these pheromones and already gets agitated and has all these adrenergic hormones moving within its bloodstream, increasing the effect. Now, what's the effect of consuming all these fear hormones? When we eat beef that has not been slaughtered, these hormones are absorbed by us and into our systems, and over time it increases aggression in the society, leading to what we see in the Western world, where there is so much violence and aggression in everybody. People, you know, killing, murdering, and, you know, even sexual paraphilias, you know, like you know, all these sexual perversions where you have ficophilia, urophilia, you know, homosexuality. All these also increase due to the consumption of these excess level of these hormones. Some of the findings we have here is there's an earlier onset of puberty in girls, you know, impotence not attributable to other causes, you know, you have violence, aggression, you have so many disorders that are, you know, increasing in our society because of this fear hormone, you know, transmitted from these animals and ingested, you know, invariably through their hormones in us. Here we see that the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations has said animals must be stress and injury free prior to slaughter so that their glycogen reserves are not depleted. So we have so many reasons why we need to make sure that this bleeding out of kosher beef is observed. So my friends, please stop, you know, purchasing meat that's all bloody. When you go, even if you just look at the two beef, when you look at kosher or halal beef, you see it very rich and fresh, you know, pink, and then you see this bloody beef because it's laden with all that blood, full of hormones that are gonna turn you into some wild, violent, sexual, perverted being. It's unsafe for you. God knows why He gave us these commands. He gave them to us because He loves us and He's trying to protect us and let us live full and healthy lives. So, you know, nothing is by accident. There are reasons why all these laws were laid down, and it's when we disobey these laws and regulations, you know, religion is basically not for God, it's for us. Religion is here to save us and to help us. It takes science years to figure these things out, and, you know, we suffer for this. You know, our violent, aggressive society is a result of our lack of adherence to these things. Eventually science catches up and then says, oh yes, they start running around to slaughterhouses and ensuring that the regulations the religion are put in place. But let's, you know, move ourselves like light years ahead of science, and we'll see through religious science, and we'll see how much of a better and longer, healthier, happier and saner life we'll live. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with more. Peace.